Some warships are born into legend, others spend their lives waiting for a moment that never comes. But USS Massachusetts, or known to her sailors as Big Mamie, found hers the moment she entered the fight, thrust into fire, before most of her crew even knew the full layout of her decks. Commissioned on May 12, 1942, she was a South Dakota-class battleship. A war machine designed in the last days of naval treaty restrictions, but unleashed in a world where rules no longer applied. She carried 9 16-inch guns, 25-inch dual-purpose mounts, and an armor scheme wrapped tight around a compact, powerful hull. Massachusetts wasn't the first of her name. A larger ship had been planned, an Iowa-class hull, but it was never built. Instead, BB-59 took on the name. She was smaller, but not to be underestimated. Her crew gave her a nickname that would stick through every battle, storm, and campaign. They called her Big Mamie. And Big Mamie didn't have to wait long for her trial by fire. Barely 6 months after Pearl Harbor, she was sent racing across the Atlantic as part of Operation Torch, the Allied invasion of North Africa. It was November 8, 1942, and her guns would fire in combat for the very first time, not against Japan, but against Vichy France, off the coast of Casablanca. Her main target, the French battleship Jean Bart, incomplete, docked, but still very dangerous, even with only one working 15-inch turret. It was a rare scene, warships dueling, in view of palm trees and colonial rooftops. Jean Bart fired first, sending a massive shell hurtling toward the attacking fleet. But the fleet responded with thunder. Massachusetts opened up with her main battery, and didn't let up. Over the course of the day, she fired over 200 16-inch shells, hundreds more from her secondary guns. French destroyers, coastal guns, and gun emplacements were ripped apart. And then came the moment that one of Massachusetts' salvos scored a direct hit on Jean Bart's turret, knocking her out of action completely. It was her first taste of war, and she delivered a knockout punch. The crew, many still teenagers, learned quickly what it meant to serve on a ship like this. Every decision could be life or death. Every shell fired could level a ship. Every torpedo they dodged meant they'd live another day. Despite the fierce resistance, Massachusetts emerged undamaged. She had silenced a battleship, wrecked enemy ships, and crippled French defenses, all in a single day. An opening act few ships could match. But that was just the beginning. After the victory in North Africa, Big Mamie returned to the US for a quick overhaul. Then, it was time to head west, to the Pacific, to the storm. By the middle of 1943, Massachusetts was crossing the Panama Canal, her massive hull squeezing through the locks as she moved from one ocean to another. Ahead of her lay the Imperial Japanese Navy and a war that made Casablanca look like a warm-up. She was ready because she was already a veteran. When USS Massachusetts emerged into the Pacific, the war she joined was something entirely different. In the Atlantic, she'd fought French guns. Out here, she'd face kamikazes, torpedoes, fanatical defenders who fought to the last man. The skies were deadly, the seas full of unseen threats. But Big Mamie wasn't intimidated. She joined Task Force 58, the fast carrier strike group that drove America's advance across the Pacific. The carriers got the glory. But ships like Massachusetts made their victories possible. Whenever the fleet moved forward, she moved with them. When landings needed softening up, her 16-inch guns opened fire. When enemy planes came screaming in, her anti-aircraft guns roared. In early 1944, she joined the assault on the Marshall Islands, bombarding Japanese bunkers and airfields. Her broadsides lit up the sky like thunderclaps. By now, her crew worked like clockwork. Shells were loaded, fired, reloaded, again and again. Massachusetts wasn't just powerful, she was precise. Then came the Marianas Campaign, Saipan, Tinian, Guam. The resistance was brutal. But Massachusetts hammered supply dumps, coastal guns, and anything in the path of U.S. forces. She was no longer just fighting ships. She was dismantling whole islands. In June 1944, the Japanese Navy made a desperate stand. The Battle of the Philippine Sea became known as the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot, with American fighters shooting down hundreds of enemy planes. Massachusetts didn't fire her main guns, but her anti-aircraft batteries were relentless. Waves of kamikazes and torpedo bombers came. Her gunners brought them down in a blizzard of 5-inch and 40mm fire. She stood her ground, unshaken. Then came Leyte Gulf in October 1944, the largest naval battle in history. Massachusetts supported the landings, pounding enemy positions day and night. Even though much of the battle played out beyond her range, she never stopped firing. Her guns shelled airfields, troop staging areas, enemy convoys, relentless, focused. But the sea itself remained one of her deadliest foes. Then Typhoon Cobra, a typhoon that tore through the fleet, capsizing destroyers and wrecking flight decks. Towering waves smashed into Massachusetts. She held fast. Her heavy hull and balance kept her upright, though the storm battered her like a beast. Then came Okinawa, the final, savage push toward Japan. Kamikaze attacks were constant. Day after day, they came. But Massachusetts didn't flinch. Her gunners were ready. Her radar sharp. Her 16-inch guns shelling dug in Japanese defenses non-stop. For months, she stood guard, firing, defending, surviving. And then, August 1945. The war was over. USS Massachusetts had fired more 16-inch shells in combat than any other U.S. battleship. She had never been hit by enemy fire. From Casablanca to Okinawa, she had escorted carriers, sunk ships, crushed island fortresses, and stared down death time and time again. And she came home, untouched. She was decommissioned in 1947, just 5 years after joining the fleet. But unlike so many others, she wasn't scrapped. Massachusetts was saved. Today, you can still walk her decks. At Battleship Cove in Fall River, Massachusetts, Big Mamie stands preserved, a museum ship and living memory of a time when steel met fire on every horizon. Her guns still point out to sea. Her engine rooms still hum with the ghosts of the past. She is steel. She is memory. She is legacy. She is Big Mamie. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. You can also subscribe and explore our channel for previous Battleship videos. Bye for now and Godspeed.